Um, yeah, so you are applying for the tester role, also interested in the writer role. Can you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Sure thing. So of this past year, I graduated with a Bachelor of Fine Arts in Acting and dual minors in musical theater and computer science. So
Oh my gosh, those
it
two
was
things are like amazingly in line with what I love.
it's yeah, it always confused people what I said I was studying in school, but I finished all of that in 4 years. It was a busy 4 years, but I did it. Um, yeah, and so this past year, I moved to the Los Angeles area to pursue both acting and potentially stuff in the gaming industry. This past year, I was a tester on a project with a company called Idea Factory. And over the course of my education, as well as here in Los Angeles, both as sort of a hobby and as a job while I was studying in school in Austin, I've been a game master for tabletop role-playing games.
Oh,
So
nice.
I've been able to run games like that and help develop content for games like that, like puzzles, maps, stories, characters. So I worked on a project while I was in Austin as a game master who helped develop a sort of homebrew campaign in the Ravnica universe, which is a Magic the Gathering universe.
Hmm.
There was a rule book that came out for Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition of this, but we collaborated on creating a game for this game store in Austin where different tables would be playing simultaneously, but they would all be playing in the same world. So the events that
Whoa.
happened at each table each week would influence the rest of the world for the games at each table next week. Um, so that was a fun project that I worked on for a little bit. And I also ran a campaign for about 3 years while I was in school with my acting friends, which was quite fun, as you imagine. Playing role-playing
Yeah.
games with actors is a perfect pair.
Seriously.
Yeah. So that's a little about
I'm
me.
always a little disappointed when I end up in campaigns and everyone's kind of just like uh not really role playing. I know it
Yeah,
happens. It's still fun, but it is
it's still
so much
fun, but
fun
it's
when people are really into it.
I agree.
So when you were writing some of those things, what was your process like?
It's different. In addition to writing stuff for these campaigns, I was also writing scenes for my fellow acting students and scripts for projects that we were developing with a student troupe in school, and then for our final senior showcase. So those were two different sort of writing processes: scripting linear scenes for pieces of dialogue and action for actors to portray in a live environment. I worked on I worked in theatrical format and screenplay format uh, in those ones, which usually I would start with a concept or an idea for a scene. For some of them, I developed them specifically for the actors in the scenes, so I knew like what their sort of mannerisms were, their sort of colloquialisms, the words that they like to use, and then I wrote a scene for characters that would fit them. While I was writing for tabletop games and stuff, I would each week the players would of course make new actions, and I had a sort of general outline for the full campaign, different outlines for different potential quests in the world, and then based on the different things that they did each week, I would decide what I was going to try to guide them towards next week and how I was going to reward their choices from the previous week, or give them a little comeuppance for the choices they made. So it was uh, a sort of it's a different process for each project I worked on, but generally starting with um, the bigger picture and then the more small immediate picture of like what's the response to this line from this line versus what's the longer story arc that we're headed towards.
Nice. Yeah, that sounds really fun.
I thought it was.
Um, so before I go into like my whole spiel, I just wanted to get an idea for how much of the game, what you know about the game, and kind of what you know about the workshop. So why don't we start with the game? Have you gotten to play the demo?
Yes, I've now played the demo. I don't think I've finished it. I I got killed, so I had to restart.
Oh yeah, no,
But
totally fine. It is a little frustrating that when you lose, you have to go back to the beginning.
Yeah, so I think I've played the older version.
Mhm.
I'm trying to tell if it's the newer version that's linked in the Discord right now, because
So the newer version would just be a battle. I don't think
ah
we put the newer version in the lobby Discord. I think it might only be in the main workshop Discord. Although I have talked to a few people that have gotten the battle build, just not entirely sure how.
okay.
And it's not a
So
problem
yeah,
if you've played it. It's actually very welcome. It's just uh, in terms of like receiving feedback for it, we want it to be a little bit more structured.
understandable. Yeah, so I think the only demo version I played is the one that's the gameplay demo on the website.
Cool. And so, yeah, maybe just tell me a little bit about like your thoughts about it.
It was fun. It was cute. I liked the visual assets. The the controls, the walking controls felt a little bit clunky, but the combat was an interesting concept. Although I understand from some of the discussions in the Discord and the fact that there's a new battle build, the battle system's been revamped since that demo.
Yeah. So let me tell you a little bit about that. So it has been revamped. That like joke system is now just a small part of um, the overall battle system. So instead of just constantly telling jokes, you can kind of do other actions. Um, and this actually gets me to like kind of the theme of the game and the tone we want to aim for. Is this theme of like using empathy and nonviolence in the face of adversity, and so really trying to use in Otto's case entertainment to convince the opponent to like them. And so we have what's called affinity. And so Otto's goal is instead of just lowering the player's health, you're increasing their affinity towards you while lowering their guard. And then once you get to a certain point, you're able to use a joke similar to the original battle system to convince them to join your side.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's got this like time element. So you've got a time bar that's filling up, and uh, it just makes it a lot more active and more closer resembling the like impromptu performances we want these battles to be like.
Very cool. Yeah, because that was what I was going to say is that it was an interesting concept, but it felt like there could be more features developed, and it sounds like that's exactly what you did.
Yeah, totally. Cool. So can you tell me a little bit about what you know about the workshop?
The workshop itself, I'm trying to sort of decipher because there's a lot of different Discord channels that I've been flipping through. I was starting to read whatever channel had the documentation stuff, reading about the love hate system and some of the other documentation we had that's there about the game mechanics.
Mhm.
I've seen information for the creative bout that's supposed to start on the 24th, but I've had a little bit of confusion about um, exactly what the onboarding process is to become a green member of the workshop. And then from
Mhm.
there, I understand you become a red member once you join the creative bout. And then it was unclear like how a tester role fits into that or whether the tester roles are a separate track from the roles in the creative bout.
Yeah, so for the creative bout, we don't really have a role for testers, although in your case there are writing roles. So definitely strongly encourage going down that track. Um, but yeah, so essentially um, there's the lobby, the Discord lobby which you're in, and then there is also like another Discord which has some of the workshop members. And so um, in terms of your timeline after this first kind of round of interviews that we're doing, which should wrap up like the first week of June, we'll start onboarding people into the main Discord. Um, and so the tester right now in the main Discord, we have artists and musicians working together. And then the next step will be to bring on writers. And then following that would be testers. And so, yeah, that's kind of like what to expect over the next couple weeks. And then in the meantime, we'll be like really trying to engage the lobby and make sure that it still feels like y'all are part of the community and like yeah, because you totally are, and it's the lobby has like taken on a really cool life of itself, and we just want to throw in these like different challenges every now and then, and yeah.
Sweet.
Did that answer your question?
So the next step for me, am I just waiting for confirmation on something, or is there something I still need to fill out?
I believe you're just waiting on us now. Yeah. So in the meantime, like I said, we've got the creative bout going on in the lobby, which starts up pretty soon, and then that should lead you right into like the onboarding from the lobby to the workshop.
Sweet. So it's still unclear to me how to exactly procure an ID, which I believe I need to sign up for the creative bout. Because
That is a
I
good
believe
question.
I filled out the form, the applicant questionnaire form in the roles channel, which I thought was the correct step that I needed to do in order to receive an ID. So I may have missed something.
I think you're on the right track. It's probably just on our end, not getting through all of them very quickly.
Understandable.
Have you reached out to Vince Q by any chance?
Not yet.
Okay, so if if after this you want to reach out to him and ask him a question, or maybe even in the questions channel, just at him. And it looks like he's online now, about to answer some questions. So, yeah.
Great.
Cool. So, have you ever seen anything like the workshop or like the RPG?
I guess in some cases, I mean, working collaboratively on projects on Discord is something that I've done before,
Cool.
even like gaming projects. So I'm familiar with sort of this being used as a tool, like some similar to Slack, which I've also used. In terms of the Monochrome RPG, I mean, stylistically, it does have visuals like Cuphead, and then it seems like you want to take a more mechanical feature like Undertale. And both of those are interesting concepts for games to me. So I mean, I find the concept of the game really, really interesting. And it seems like it's taking pieces of games that we've seen previously and that we've liked, and then putting them together and reworking them into this wonderful new idea. So it seems really cool, and I'm super interested to see how it develops.
Yeah, I just started playing Undertale actually at somebody's request or somebody's suggestion.
Yeah.
Having so much fun with it, and definitely getting a lot of inspiration for the battle system.
Oh yeah.
Oh, which actually, I just realized I have not really told you like what my role is, and yeah, about like the background of the game. So I'm the lead programmer, and there's maybe you've seen the name DVNC Tech a few places, but we are the development team behind the game. And so the way the game kind of the background started is there were a few students at an art college in Georgia that had the idea for this game. They're founding members in the main Discord. And so because they were just starting school, but had this idea for the game, they realized like they didn't really know how to make a game, or like even the art or anything like that. And so because school, it takes a while to get some of that knowledge under your belt. You have to go through like all the core concepts and work your way up to it. We created like a pipeline to really teach them the tools to use for how to make like 2D art and 2D animation for a game like this. And then that they started like telling their friends about it, and their friends started learning on our website. And then we kind of changed it into a Discord because it just facilitates this community and communication a lot better than what we were doing before. And yeah, it's pretty much just grown from there to what it is now in the past few months. And we're really excited to grow it more. And then, of course, when you are working in the workshop, you get contracts and based on what you're working on. So like for a tester, it might be like an audit on one of the systems that we're working on, or like, you know, if you can come up with like a list of bugs, that would be something else we would give you a contract for. And then for writers, it would be like writing a quest, and like depending on the length of the quest, would like kind of it would like, what's the word I'm looking for? Your compensation would be based on the length and size of your contributions.
Understood.
Yeah, so is there anything, I definitely would like to pause now and just ask you if there's anything that I haven't talked about regarding the game or the workshop that you've been curious about.
I think the only steps forward that we've said that I need to take are to confirm ID number, to do the creative bout. The creative bout is that sort of, I'm trying to wrap my head around it, sort of a vetting process for the creatives that you want to onboard to the workshop?
A little bit. It's kind of just one opportunity for that, but it's also just a place where we wanted to provide other opportunities. So there's like some cash prizes, and like also if you do receive first place in the different tracks, you are kind of like automatically onboarded into the main workshop. So that is part of it, but then the other part is just like providing these outlets for people while they're waiting, or just like even if people are perfectly happy in the lobby. Yeah, we just want that to feel like alive.
Cool. Okay, cool. But beyond that, it's just, yeah, for steps forward, that was the main question I had. I mean, I guess I was going to ask if you were talking about maybe the pipeline was going to be refined for allowing people to test the new battle system. I was going to ask if you had like a timeline for that, or when we might get to test out that new battle system, but
yeah, so
I don't know if that's something you know.
It isn't exactly in terms of like the official pipeline for it, but as far as like the just like general feedback goes, that kind of like early June timeframe is when we should have another battle build ready for everybody, if not earlier. So probably like end of next week, I would say. But yeah, so we're trying to release some updates every 2 weeks or so.
Sweet.
Cool. So we talked a little bit about like you graduated in acting and computer science, and like you're in LA now. And where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Ooh, big question.
It is.
For sure. I mean, I want to move forward with my career and developing artistic projects, whether that takes me down a route more dominated by the acting artwork, although right now it's a little bit difficult to pursue any type of acting work since, specifically in Los Angeles, all entertainment venues have been shut down. They can't be open since March 15th. So yeah, and across the country, like auditions have been all virtual for the upcoming year season. Theaters have been canceling their seasons, so I don't know about that. But whatever artistic projects that I can pursue, it's difficult to to sort of view what that's going to look like, because I don't know
Yeah.
what opportunities are going to come my way. But that has been and continues to be like my main goal, is to pursue fulfilling artistic projects, and whether that takes me to other places, and whatever I become invested in, like, just that's sort of the thing I want to do, is work on developing interesting stories and interesting experiences. Yeah, which is what I went to school for, what I've always loved.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I was definitely upset. Hadestown was going to be coming
Oh,
to Philly, and that's where I'm based. And yeah, it
oh
doesn't seem
yeah.
like that's going to be happening.
Oof,
And I
that's a
really want
bummer.
to see that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Um,
award-winning Hadestown.
yeah,
So sad.
yeah. Um, so what kind of like value do you see us providing currently to help you towards your goal?
Certainly more experience. I mean, I'm just a recent graduate from my undergraduate collegiate program, so I do believe that I have a lot of skills and I have a lot of passion,
Yeah, it
or
sounds like it.
artistically, and technically to a degree, to a degree, I say, play on words, with my minor, but again, I don't have a lot of experience on these projects outside of an academic environment, so
Mm,
getting more experience for sure.
cool. And so what sort of challenges do you foresee working towards that goal, working in the workshop?
Um, Perhaps the distance aspect of it, that it may be difficult to I don't know, metabolize feedback when it's completely in a digital format, or again when there's so many people working on this project, it I don't know exactly how it's gonna work out, how cohesive like the amount of work that I could be getting would be,
Hmm.
but it's a new type of sort of work pipeline, I guess, than I've worked on, and it seems like this is the way that a lot of things are developed nowadays, is, and certainly now after quarantine's begun, is probably we're going to be working in more digital workspaces. So I think it's valuable, even though it may be difficult to navigate at first.
Yeah, it's very interesting because we kind of started this before quarantine, and then definitely saw a large spike in its popularity since then.
For
Um,
sure.
and we can definitely tell why. Like people are inside, some people have nothing to do. So yeah. So like if we're already doing some of the kind of like like checking your experience box, what's something we could do better to either like mitigate those kind of challenges you talked about, or like just help you serve your needs in other ways?
I mean, just clear communication. I don't think the digital workspace is nearly as big of a challenge, as long as there's like clear communication and documentation of stuff. And that's just sort of a best practice in general when working with software or any artistic project. I mean, any project really, but so long as I have clear understanding of what's happening and what I'm supposed to be doing, then I don't think it's as big of a concern for me, whether I'm working in a physical space with people or on a digital environment. But it's always difficult to gauge like how easy communication is going to be when first starting out with a
Definitely.
project.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, something we are currently doing to kind of um, make sure that the lack of communication isn't a problem is like um, having just a good wide array of different leaders in the different groups. So not just the development team. The three of us definitely couldn't keep up communications with everybody, even though we want to. But yeah, we do have like a good amount of people providing feedback, and like we encourage like submitting drafts, even if they're just like the barest minimum, just starting kind of draft, like just to make sure everybody's on the same page as much as possible.
Cool. Good to hear.
Yeah, and so like if those are some of the things we could be doing like right away, imagine there's no limits to the workspace or to the workshop. What are some things we could do that like exceed your expectations?
Hmm. Well, I suppose I wouldn't know what beyond my expectations looks like if I've got, that's a conundrum. But I guess, yeah, I guess just, I mean, if my concerns are that communication will be difficult in the digital workspace and meeting my expectations would be meeting communication standards. I mean, having an organizational structure that makes it easy to find all the information I need, information on contracts and aspects of the project that I'll be working on, that that is just more efficient than I expected it to be. I mean, that would go above and beyond my expectations. I guess
Cool.
that's simple, maybe vague, but
Yeah, and maybe I'm like kind of extrapolating from what you said, but maybe like a more personalized structure, or like, yeah, maybe not personalized, but like customizable.
oh yeah, yeah. My main concern about working in interfaces like Discord and Slack is that you get these channels that have so many people in them, and then it can be difficult to parse through all the messages to find what's relevant to you
Yeah,
and your aspect of the project.
cool. Yeah, that was a great answer.
Mhm.
Um, so now that we've talked about a little bit more about like how we can meet your expectations and like just like what you want to get out of this, is there any other questions you have for me? I know I asked that question a few times, but
I'm sure that I'll think of something in like 48 hours and be like, I should have asked it then, but not
no,
off the
no.
top of my
If
head.
you do, feel free to yeah, or direct message me in Discord. I'll be DayK, DAYEKAYE. But yeah,
Okay.
I'm always happy to answer any questions, especially if you have questions about programming. Love answering those questions. But yeah, I think that is pretty much all the questions I have for you as well.
Okay. Fantastic.
Cool. Well, have a good rest of your day, and thank you for talking to me.
Same to you. Thank you so much.
Bye bye.
Bye.